Brutally honest truth about traditional real estate, it's very likely the reasons you got into real estate are going to be what you spend the least time doing. Maybe you're great with people, maybe you have a wonderful network, maybe you enjoy property, but the second you get into traditional real estate, you find you have to be a team of 10 as a one-man band or one-woman band. You're gonna have to do admin, you're gonna have to start figuring out how to market yourself, you're gonna have to prospect, sales meetings, caravanning, competing with your sales manager, trying to get a foot in the door with a point of difference against hundreds of other agents bringing the exact same deal to their vendors. Sometimes even a clashy office environment. The point is, it's really easy to waste your time on things that don't matter, and there can be a bit of a death by a thousand cuts. So today we're gonna talk about those things and an option that actually puts you back in front of people. Just quick, I'm Camille. I'm one of the BDs at Arizto, so that means I speak to 10 plus agents a day. And I find that I've got a really common thread between everybody. The highs, the lows, the challenges, the things they love, the things they don't love as much. I'm exposed to their problems. I know what they're going through, and I also have helped a lot of people figure out that there's a better way. Probably the biggest and most common pain point for every agent is time. They find themselves doing things that aren't what you'd call dollar productive. So it's all the things that are necessary for the sales process, but maybe it's something somebody else could be doing for them. However, usually, because they're time poor, they have not reached a stage of their career yet where they can afford a team, for example, or admin help, or PAs, or what have you. So if you can free up an agent, if you can give them support for the things that aren't sales specific, things like tracking down certificates of title, processing AML, that sort of stuff, right? Admin, even organizing marketing, organizing photography. If you free up an agent, and you equip them with a really good thing to talk about, they tend to be the type of person that wants to go get in front of people, wants to sell themselves, wants more chances to do what they're best at, and start forming relationships that will one day lead to winning listings. Because as an agent, more likely than not, you want to spend your time doing the things that you envisioned when you first got into real estate, connecting with people, learning about property, getting inside homes, planning how you're gonna market it, that sort of stuff, and not doing all the admin stuff that soaks up your time. Another thing that I hear a lot about is not feeling that an agent has a point of difference. You know, there's some pretty big brands around the country that are similar enough to one another. So if you are up against, say, 500 of your colleagues, and some of those people are very, very well established, and you're trying to get a name for yourself, it can be difficult to become memorable when you bring the same price point, you bring the same marketing package, you bring the same everything as a lot of other people, not just within your brand, but outside of your brand as well. A lot of agents get around this by being well plugged into the community, having databases, natural outlets for business opportunities, but it doesn't change the fact that they're offering echoes what a lot of other agents' offerings are. So what it actually does, which is a hindrance to the agent, is it makes them work a whole lot harder to sell their brand. Okay, so now if you jump to the other side of the spectrum and you're one of the lucky few whose business is starting to grow, it's not long before you start to feel that you're a victim of your own success based on how traditional real estate works. So around about a deal a month or 15 or so a year that you're selling, you feel you need some help. So you're talking about hiring PAs, you're talking about teaming up sales associates just to scale. So you're adding overheads to your business, you're splitting your slice of the pie further to potentially do double the business for half the pay sometimes. I mean, obviously this sucks because you're doing well, you want to scale, but you realize you're getting penalized for scaling, for being a high performance agent. And then another obvious one that I hear a lot, but it's not always the case, right, is sometimes an office environment when you're alongside your competitors or perhaps there's personality clashes, the place you go to feel supported is actually the place you feel under-supported and a little bit discouraged. On the back of that as well, you've got franchise models, you've got some corporate structures and rules that don't always align with your reach. So for example, let's say you live in Auckland CBD, you've got a friend on the North Shore, really wants you to sell their property. Now you can't because it's not your area, or you can't sell it alone. You've got to involve somebody from around that part of the world just because there's some red tape. So this is an effect of traditional real estate sometimes stopping an agent from doing well when they could. And this is because there's some red tape, right? There's some restrictions and limitations involved in that corporate franchise model that monopolizes a region to specific people. Sometimes as well, there's a lack of staying in your lane. You'll end up having franchise owners, sales managers leap over you to dictate how to interact with your vendors and stealing from your personal brand or your flair or your touch, because brand representation comes first. If you can flip that in on its head and put agent above agency, sort of agent powered by agency, you end up letting people step into their own. And sometimes that's exactly what's best for the people that they want to service, their database, the people that they know. Yeah, I hear a lot of complaints that people feel a bit swallowed by the brand. And sometimes they've drunk the Kool-Aid, as a lot of people say in the industry, and they're happy to promote that. Other times it feels misaligned and they end up feeling inauthentic, actually. So another common complaint, I'd call it, is the way the money moves in traditional real estate. With traditional real estate, sometimes I think agents find that the money can disappear before they even know where really it's gone. They might even feel like the money just keeps going to all these different places that they didn't necessarily benefit from or benefit enough from. And at the front end of that, they've had to ask their vendors for more money for this, more money for that. It's kind of like they're selling multiple times over. And as it stands right now, about 98% of the industry in New Zealand is operating on a traditional model. It's an ideal place to cut your teeth on the industry. You've got that in-person access in the way of the office-bound model, but it is also a natural place to start feeling the pain points and feeling the slowdown, and start asking yourself what you really want out of the next 5, 10, 15 years in the industry, and where the industry as a whole is heading. A lot of traditional is acknowledging the need for tech. So I think it's pretty inevitable that the tech-enabled real estate agents will do the very best. So obviously you can still be successful in traditional real estate. There's a lot of really high-performing agents, really well-paid agents who are happy. But I think if you can think about this industry critically, kind of remove the real estate lens and pop the general public lens onto it, some of the high performers I talk to often ask themselves, all right, well, I'm already working really hard. Can I work smarter? Can this be done easier? When that question starts brewing, it becomes a natural progression to explain why Aristo is a really good option. So look, Aristo's not the first entity to identify these issues in the industry, but we're just the first real estate agency to do so well because we've offered a really strong chance to fix them. We exist because a traditional real estate agent thought to himself, could there be a better way, and designed a platform and employed software developers to build something from the ground up for the New Zealand real estate sales process. You know, if you're wanting to get your time back, if you're wanting to streamline your business, if you're wanting to be a high-performance sales agent that still feels like a human being, we have incredible feedback from our agents that this is night and day from how they used to operate, and now they've got this in their palm. They couldn't imagine operating another way. And I think that speaks volumes to just how well Arizto has designed something to fix very, very common problems. I recently had an agent that I hired explain, after learning about Arizto, she labeled it a common sense opportunity. And I think that is, for agents as well as vendors, it just makes sense. So at the end of the day, I mean, I really do think we are the no-brainer choice for real estate. So we're New Zealand owned and operated. We are no upfront costs, no sale, no fee. We are a really competitive offering in terms of our commission structure, tech-enabled. We have streamlined systems. We can skip the paperwork. It's 2025. We've got an app. We also include a complimentary marketing package. We don't have to lock anyone in. We're pretty low risk, pretty high reward. Yeah, so if traditional doesn't feel like it quite suits, or if you're wanting a point of difference, you want to learn even just a bit more about how our platform functions, feel free to get in touch with me or check out our website for more.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks for watching.